Hey guys, welcome back. I'm super excited to be painting with you today. Today we're going to be painting this super cute flower chicken. I love this painting. I'm really excited about doing this with you today. So let me go over some of the basics with you. You have a kit from me most likely, or you have your own supplies. Either way is great. If you have your own supplies, you can go ahead and get your brushes and your paint out. This is what my palette looks like right now. I have my black here in my tub. I didn't take it out. I've got green, red, I have red, brown, and I have white right here. So those of you who have a kit from me and you have your tubs, I just take like a plastic fork or spoon and I take out some of the paint and put it out on my palette. Not all of the paint, just put a little bit for now to see how much you're gonna need, and then you can save the rest for another painting or in case you need to take a break tonight and continue it tomorrow. You'll have fresh paint that you can use, okay? So go ahead and get your palette all set up. Meanwhile, I'll tell you about your brushes. You're going to be using a size 7 round, a size 3 round, and a background brush, okay? My background brush has a little bit of black paint on it right now because I have already painted the edges of my canvas just so that I'd be able to hold it better when I teach without having to put my hand in wet paint. So anyway, go ahead, get your brushes, get your paints out, and then get your working space set up for yourself. This is the way I do it. I've got my canvas in front of me here. I've got my paints, and then I have over here, I have my water, a little jar of water, a paper towel, and my brushes right here. I'm right-handed, so this way I can just grab whatever I need, do my color mixing and painting all right here. Okay, so I'm gonna move that stuff over and get ready. Okay, so this is just a recording. This is not a Zoom class. So I'm just gonna go straight through this painting, and then since you're gonna have the recording, you can pause whenever you need to if you need some more time. And I assume that you probably will want some more time in between each step. But because this is just a recording, I'm just gonna paint this at my own pace and instruct as we go. And so you can take as long as you want to and pause in between steps and just do whatever feels right for you. The other thing is, if you are able, I would go ahead and pull this painting up. If you have your phone next to you or something, that way you have the image as reference. It's nice to be able to look at it and look at me and kind of both and bounce back and forth while I'm teaching so that you see what I'm talking about. I do show the painting often, but not often enough. So you might want to go ahead and pull that up. And that's on the Humble Life page. You can probably scroll down and see that, okay? Let's see, last thing is we are using acrylic paint tonight, or today, whenever you're doing this. This paint is not super washable out of your clothing, so try not to make a super big mess on your clothes. If you do, go ahead and get it, dab it out with a paper towel, get it nice and wet, and try to get as much out as you can while the paint is still wet. You should be able to get it out in the wash after that. But if you go ahead and you wait for it to dry, it's probably going to be there forever, okay? So all my clothes have paint stains on them, so that's why I wear a lot of patterns. Anyway, so try to avoid mixing water with your paint tonight. For the sake of this class, you can mix water with this paint. It kind of makes it a little bit more transparent and it can be very beautiful, but because we are working on this painting tonight, we want our paint to be nice and thick and opaque. We want our color to be really rich. And if you mix water with this paint, it will, 1, take a long time to dry, and we don't want that, and 2, it'll make it more transparent, okay? It'll dilute your color down, and we don't want that either. So avoid mixing water. So, resist the urge to dip your brush in the water before you dip it in the paint, okay? Just go straight for the paint. Okay, well, I think we should begin. So we're gonna just work on our background first, and our background is just solid black. And as you see, I have already painted my edges. It is very important for you to paint your edges also. This is just really fine, nice craftsmanship. So you can see in the final product, my edges are all nice and neat. So I could just go ahead and hang this up on a wall and call it a day. I don't have to get it framed or anything like that. It just looks nice and polished. Okay, so paint your edges, and then I'll just zoom this down here so you can see mine. I'm just going to take some paint and I'm just going to go ahead and just cover my whole canvas with black paint. It does not matter which way you want to paint. If you want to paint up and down, side to side, in swirls, whatever floats your boat, okay? It does not matter. What matters is just covering the canvas. Okay, you want to just cover the canvas. You want to do nice, even strokes. Okay. Nice, even strokes. I'm not getting gobs and gobs of paint here. I'm really just getting a little bit on my brush and I'm spreading it out as thinly as I can so that I have nice, even coverage. Okay, I don't want any gobs anywhere. Okay. I want enough paint so that I don't have to do 2 coats, right? But not so much that it gobs and it takes forever to dry. We want just the right amount, a nice even amount here. Okay, I'm almost done. Kind of swirling my brush now because I'm noticing part of my canvas has a thicker tooth. The tooth is the texture of the canvas. I don't know why they call it the tooth. It seems silly, but anyway, the tooth of my canvas seems to be a little bit extra toothy. So I've got to really push that paint down into that texture to get all of those little white specks away. Okay, so once my whole canvas is covered, what I do is I take a dry brush. Okay, I have not added water and I have not added paint to my brush, and I gently sweep the surface of the canvas back and forth, nice and evenly, gently brushing. I'm not pressing hard. I'm just gently brushing back and forth. And what this does is it gets rid of any gobs or gunky parts, okay, that you might have. And it also just kind of speeds up the drying process, believe it or not. If you have fluorescent overhead lighting like I do, you can kind of lean back and you can see the glare on your canvas and you can see where it's dry and where it's not, okay? And we do want a nice dry background for us to begin. Okay, so I'm just sweeping. I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to just go ahead and drop my background brush in my water and I'm going to forget about it. Okay, I don't need to worry about that brush at all for the rest of the painting, okay? All right, so I'm just going to give that a moment just to kind of finish up drying. I'm going to get myself ready over here. I'm going to kind of just readjust. Now, don't worry too much if your background isn't perfectly black, okay? We're gonna be putting that chicken in front and it might cover up some of those little white spots. I don't know if you can see in the recording too well, but I do have a couple of little white specks in here. Yeah, you can't really see, but I do have a few little white specks in there, but I'm not super concerned with it because I know I'm gonna be painting my chicken right here on top and it's probably gonna cover up any kind of imperfections that I have in my background. Later, after you finish painting too, you can always go back and you can take a little touch-up brush and you can touch up any areas where you have some of your canvas coming through, okay? All right, so let's see here. I'm gonna just stare at this for a minute and kind of decide here, okay, so where we're gonna begin, okay? I'm gonna start with my size 7 round brush. I love this brush, it's super versatile. And we're gonna begin right in the middle of our chicken with these nice, pretty red flowers, okay? So go ahead and just look at those red flowers too. If you have the image pulled up, take a good look at them. They're just a series of blobs kind of layered on top of themselves, okay? So we're gonna break it down and make it really easy for you. The first thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna just take a little bit of white, okay, and bring it over to my red and kind of get my red paint going here, kind of swirl it around. Okay, I did not make a pink. I don't know if this makes sense. I made just a very lighter red. Okay, it's still very, very red. I want it to be nice and bold and read as red, not so much as pink. Okay, here. I'm gonna pull you in a little bit closer, just so you can see these details a little bit better here. Okay, let me just readjust. I'm painting from my home today, not from the shop, so my area is just a little bit different than what I'm used to. All right, so let's see here. We're gonna find the middle of my canvas, okay? That's where I'm gonna put my first and my biggest flower. All right, so I've got that red paint on here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press my brush to the canvas, and I'm just gonna kind of give myself a blobby shape, okay? Kind of a weird blobby shape. And get a little more paint. And when I get more paint this time, I'm gonna just pick up red, but I'm also gonna pick up white, and I'm just gonna kind of fill this out a little bit. I'm kind of just gonna swirl around. Okay, and I'm gonna leave a nice little black hole in the middle. Now notice you can see my brush strokes, okay? You can see different colors. You can see red, you can see some pink, you can see some white, okay? I am not continuing to swirl around and around and around and around until it's super smooth. I do not want it to be smooth, okay? I still have red on my brush, but I'm going to pick up some white. I'm going to try, pick up some white, and I'm gonna just gently lay that white right over here. Just a couple of little brush strokes right there, kind of turn it a little bit pink. If I want to, I can throw in a little bit there, okay? I'm gonna do that again, right here, but a little bit smaller, okay? Nice little blob there. I kind of like that blob too. I don't know that I'm going to really change anything with that blob. I'm just going to take a little bit of white in here, throw in a little bit of white, okay? And I'm going to do it again up here. So this guy is our middle size. So I have my large, my small, and this guy can be a medium. Grab a little bit of red. I'm getting kind of pink here. And you can adjust these to be as red or as pink as you like, okay? Now I really like the brush strokes that I can see here. I like the white showing up, I like the pink, I like the red. I'm just gonna really just leave those alone. I don't wanna overwork them. I just wanna let them be what they are, okay? I'm just gonna let them be what they are. All right, I'm gonna take my brush here and I'm just gonna roll off a little bit of that paint. Okay, I don't want to waste it. I just want to roll it off there. And I'm going to go ahead and just wash out my brush. I'm just swirling my brush around in my cup. Okay, once I have the paint off, I'm going to take it to my paper towel here. And I'm going to wipe off all the water and kind of sandwich the bristles in between my paper towel and off of this metal part right here. So I get all the water off. I don't want any water on the bristles for the most part, and on this metal part right here, especially on this metal part, because you don't want a water droplet just dropping down onto your canvas, okay? That's the worst. All right, so now we're gonna start really shaping out our chicken here. I'm gonna go into some green. All right, I'm gonna get a little white. I'm gonna move it over to my green here. Okay, now you can make a light green or a medium green, whatever green you want. It doesn't really matter, but you do want to mix a little bit of white in there. What that does is it helps the green paint, or really any color, become more opaque against a black background. Okay, because when we're painting on a black background, the black tends to absorb all of the color. So when we add white to it, it almost acts as like a chalk, okay? All right, so I'm gonna do this next part here. I'm gonna do this nice, pretty green leaf fern here, and then I'm gonna do one maybe down here. Okay, then maybe we'll shape this out or this out next. I'm not sure what we're gonna do next. I'm gonna keep you on your toes. It'll be a surprise, okay? All right, so here we go. I'm gonna just take my brush, I'm gonna take the point of my brush, and I'm going to start from my medium-sized flower, and I'm just gonna sort of aim outward like so, like a slight rainbow, okay? And at the very edge of this, I'm gonna give myself a teardrop shape, like a leaf, and I'm gonna fill it in, okay? And now I'm gonna go out to the side, and I'm gonna create some more leaves. Now when I do that, I'm sort of jumping out, and I'm coming to a point, and I'm jumping out, and I'm kind of meeting that point there, okay? And it just takes a brush stroke or two to fill those in, not much. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it all the way down, okay? Now when you start getting close to your flowers here, you can tuck them away, tuck the leaf behind the flower, best you can, okay? There you are. I might even come right over here, get real close to that flower, but put one more leaf in right behind it there. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, I can see the black coming through from my background, but I don't mind that so much. I sort of like the black coming through. It's like a, almost like a chalkboard. I'm gonna grab a little bit of white on my brush while my paint is still wet, and I'm gonna come through here, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of a white highlight here and there. Okay, I'm just touching the white. Not thinking too hard about it. That's a little bit too white on that leaf, so I'm just gonna grab a little more green. You can kind of round these guys out however you want. You can play with those as much as you want. Give yourself dimension. Okay, so I got one up there. Now I'm gonna do a similar thing, but I'm gonna come kind of down here a little bit, okay? You know what, actually, I think I'm gonna wait. I think I need to feel a little bit more like this is filled out first, and maybe you feel that too. So I'm gonna, even though we have green on our brush, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna wash my brush, get that green off, okay? Clean off my brush on my paper towel, okay? Now I'm going to mix in some red brown with some white. I'm gonna do this part down here next. Where are we? Right in here. Okay, that guy. So I actually need quite a bit of white. I'm gonna bring it over here by my red brown and just pull in a little bit of this color. Okay, just a little bit. Once again, it's always hard to see what color it is that you're actually mixing because we are mixing on a white plate and we are going to be painting on a black background, and black and white handle color so much differently than each other. So always shoot for a little bit lighter than you think you should, and should be okay. All right, got my color. All right, here, now we go. So what I'm gonna do is from about right at the end of my smallest flower out here, I'm going to draw a similar line like I did up here, only I'm going to aim inward. Okay, I'm gonna start right about here and lightly, lightly aim inward, okay, towards that red flower. I'm sort of hugging that red flower. All right, and I'm gonna do a similar shape here. I'm gonna kind of come out. It's very similar to my leaves, except I'm gonna kind of elongate that just a bit. Just make it a slightly different leaf shape, okay? And I'm gonna go all the way up. I'm kind of spread out a little bit more on this plant here. Okay, see how these are really nice and close and these are a little bit further apart from each other. And then this will be my top one, and I'm going to sort of fill it in here. And then I gotta come behind my flower. Okay. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna turn my canvas because it's just easier for me to paint this way. And I'm gonna mirror Go behind my flower. Now, if you're having a hard time with control, like if you feel like you're just making marks that are just too big, lose this brush and jump down to your size 3. I'm gonna do that now. So now I'm at my size 3, okay? And now I can really get into these spaces back here. Okay, and fill it in. Okay, got a little bit of red mixed up in there, but that's okay. All right, so continuing with my size 3, I'm gonna grab a little bit of white. I'm gonna do the same thing, kind of drop in a little bit of white here, round things out. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab some red brown, just straight red brown, and do the same thing. Okay, just give it a little bit of dimension. I love this color, I think it's really pretty. Okay. All right, there we go. So I'm gonna take that red, brown, and white off of my brush. I'm gonna wipe it off of my paper towel. And now I'm gonna do this section right back in here, okay? And this section is lots of fun. It's just this flower guy back here, okay? All right, so what I'm gonna do to start, I'm gonna get some green, okay? And I'm using my size 3 brush. I'm just gonna take my green and I'm gonna just pull some little leaf shapes in here. And I'm just setting my brush on my canvas and pulling, almost getting like a little dash, okay? And I'm kind of shaping out a cone. See, if I were to draw a line under here, it would round out there, right? Kind of just filling out that part of my chicken. Okay, so I'm just gonna put in a couple little leaves all the which way, okay? Just like so. I'm gonna wash this green off of my brush. I'm gonna switch gears on you real quick while that green is drying. I don't know if you noticed, but right in here on the back of our chicken is 2 flowers kind of hiding right there. There's also 2 right here, okay? But let's put these guys in next while this green is kind of drying, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab some red, a little bit of white, okay? And I'm just gonna kind of make almost like a very thick V, okay? I'm gonna come right over in this area, somewhere over here, doesn't really matter, and I'm gonna pull in and pull out, okay? Something like that. I have like a blob, can you see that? I'm gonna do the same thing, but a little bit smaller right here. Pull in, push out, okay? I want a little variation, so I'm gonna grab some white, pull in, pull out, there we go, okay? While I'm at it, I'm gonna do the same thing down here. One right here, and you can put these honestly wherever you want, and I'm gonna do one right here. Okay, I'm gonna grab a little bit of white. Okay, ooh, chunk there. All right, I'm not gonna wash my brush yet, but can you see those? Okay, we're gonna let those dry for a moment until we're gonna work on this area back here a little bit while I have this color on my brush. And then we'll go back and we'll put in some green leaves kind of hugging those. So if they look like they're just kind of floating in space and they don't really fit nestled back in there, good, that's okay. Okay, that's just fine. So I've got this color on my brush. So I'm just gonna start kind of dabbing it in here. Instead of pulling my brush like I did before to kind of make that leaf shape, I'm just setting my brush on and pulling up, okay? Kind of like a stamp. Kind of creating these little dots. Okay, I'm coming up, I'm hugging up on my leaves over here. Okay, so I've got lots of pinks, lots of pinks. So I'm gonna go in and get some plain red, and I'm gonna fill in some space with some plain red. Okay, starting to really fill this little guy out. I'm gonna wipe off that color on my paper towel, and I'm gonna go in and get some of that red, brown, and white that we used before for like our wheat kind of shape down there, that brown. And I'm gonna dot in some of that brown. You can make that brown as dark or as light as you want, whatever, however it works for you, okay? Your goal here is really to sort of unify this space back here, okay? Where this is kind of coming to a point almost, okay? So you can really get your dots up in there a little bit and really start to blur the line where this plant begins and this plant begins, okay? I've kind of covered up that stem there a little bit, okay? If you feel like you've covered up too much of your green leaves back there, you can go back after this area dries and put it back in, okay? I just took off the red brown off my brush and I'm gonna grab a little bit of red and white again. And back here at the very end, at the tail of my chicken, I'm going to put in one more blobby flower, okay? And it is just a blob, something like that. Okay, that white and red on my brush, I just made that sort of V-shaped blob, okay? All right, we're moving right along. So I'm gonna go ahead and wash off that red. We're done with that for now. So while our little flowers are drying, this one back here, and then these 4 here, we have 5 total that are drying. Let's work on the front part of our chicken, okay? So I'm gonna start with some green again, some white and green mixed together. Okay, and I'm gonna do this bottom leaf, little vine or little fern down here that's gonna start pulling up to the front of our chicken, okay? So same thing, if I were to be drawing a line that were to continue from the back of my chicken up to the front of my chicken, I want a nice curved line here, okay? So coming from behind this shape and up towards the front of my chicken, okay? That's where I'm gonna be drawing that line, okay? And now my leaf shapes are actually going to be going this way, okay? Everything here, well, this was going this way, this is going this way, so we're going to continue this kind of flow, okay? So I'm going to start right back here, and I'm going to do that same kind of shape that I had before, where I kind of come out, okay? And I want to aim these petals or these leaves this way, okay? You can paint over or around that shape, it doesn't matter. Okay, and then I'm going to mirror on this side. So I'm still using my size 3 brush. I have more control. Okay. There we go. I'm all filled in. I did about 3 sets there. I'm going to just take some pure green, put it through there. Just pure green. While I'm at it, I'm going to come back here and put in some pure green also. You don't have to. If you like the way those look, you can keep them that way. Just wanted to kind of brighten those up a little bit, and I think I'm going to take a little bit of white. Okay. I just like the way brush strokes look. I love paintings that are full of rich texture. So I just try to add as much as I can. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna leave that guy alone. I'm gonna wipe off, or I'm gonna clean my brush. I'm getting all of the paint off of my brush now, all the water off of my brush, and I'm gonna go in for some red, brown, and white mixed together. Same color that I used for down here, okay? All right, I'm gonna do the same thing that I did down here, except a little bit smaller. Okay, so now we're at the neck. This is the neck of our chicken, and I'm gonna kind of draw in a line from here. I'm gonna kind of angle it that way into that flower, okay? You can kind of see the shape of my chicken kind of come into life. And now these guys I'm gonna keep very simple. They're shapes. I'm actually just gonna do little almonds, okay? So it's just an almond, and I fill it in, an almond. I really want to fill this space here well. Paint. Okay. Pretend like that's going behind that flower. I'm going to try to fit one more almond in here. Okay, and then I'm going to mirror that on the other side. Okay. I'm going to go back with just some red brown, plain red brown. Kind of add that in there. Okay. All right, so I've got something like that now. All right, we're moving right along here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get that color off of my brush. I think I'm gonna jump up to my size 7 here for a moment. I'm gonna put on some leaves on some of those smaller flowers back there. So I've got just some green on my brush, but I have a lot of green. You see how gobby that is? I have white and green mixed together, so I have a lot of variation. I want gobs because I have treated these flowers back here very thick, okay? They're very gobby themselves. So what I need to do with this brush is just press it to the canvas so that you can, not really painting so much as just pressing, okay? So watch, I'm gonna come right onto this flower right here. I'm just gonna press it and pull and press it and pull, and I've kind of just created these little leaves that sort of hug my flowers. You see that? Then you can go back if you want to with a little bit of white and add just a little touch of variation there. Okay. See that? See how thick that paint is? I love that. Nice thick paint. All right, back to my size 3 brush. Now we're gonna do the head of our chicken. This is where our personality really comes out. I think this guy is really cute, so. All right. All right, so what we're gonna do here, it's kind of hard to eyeball this, but just bear with me, okay? Let's see if we can stick this out together. I'm gonna mix in some white and red brown together, you know, kind of like we did before with our wheat kind of shapes, okay? I got my size 3 brush. Okay, now we're going to do a little visualizing here, okay? So I know that the head of my chicken is going to be right about here, right? The red part of my chicken. And then his neck feathers are going to be kind of coming out all around here, okay? So kind of pick a spot, you know, like I'm going to kind of use my fingers. Okay, I'm going to draw a line, maybe to like right here, I know is where the eye and the beak of my chicken is going to be, okay? So that point right about here, I'll put a dot there, is kind of my launching point for all of my feathers, okay? So for my feathers, I'm going to start there, and I'm going to start by kind of umbrellaing out this way, and then down this way. Okay, so you see that? I'm kind of shaped that out for myself, kind of mapped it out for myself, get a little perspective, and make sure that that is in fact big enough, far enough away, okay? When you get far away from it, you get a little more perspective. I might actually jump out here, okay? Come out a little bit bigger. So now I'm just taking white and that light red-brown color, okay? And just layering on those feathers. Now I want you to be careful here not to get too thick with your paint, where you just kind of create like a big gobby feathery mess, okay? You do want your feathers to kind of look like they're layered and stick out from each other. So for example, I've got this first nice coat there, okay? So now I've taken a slightly different shade of my red brown, and I'm gonna go in with smaller brush strokes now. Thinner, smaller here, lighter, and kind of travel around that way, okay? And now I'll go back with a different shade, maybe a little bit lighter, and kind of gently go on top of those now, okay? And slightly something different, and then I'll go on top of those, and see how I'm just kind of layering. They're not all the same length, they're all different lengths, and you can kind of see those layers. You see that? Okay, so play with those layers. Okay, we want to see dimension and shape. Okay, I might make a few little wild feathers kind of out there. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wash my size 3 brush. Get all that red brown out of it. Now I'm going to paint the face of our chicken. Okay, and this part up here and his little eye and his beak. Okay. Okay. So I want to get some red here. I'm actually going to take a little bit of black and bring it over to my red here. And just make a nice thick red, nice dark red. Not too dark because we do want it to show up, of course, on top of our black background. In fact, that might be a little bit too dark. Okay, you just want a very, very little bit of black. All right, so that's probably pretty good there. Okay, so not this, but this. Okay. Now the thing about this too is if you paint this on and it's just too dark, just let it dry and then go back with some fresh red paint, fresh, just plain red, and paint right on top of it, okay? All right, so here we go. I have my size 3 brush. Okay, now right in this area where it kind of comes to a point, I'm gonna paint like a little heart shape here, okay? Okay, something similar to that. And if I want to adjust, I can. I'm going to kind of round this out. Okay, round him out. Okay, so I got that little heart shape, right? Come back for a little more paint. Okay, now I'm going to take this bottom of my heart, okay, and I'm going to bring it up beyond my feathers, up, 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 and see how that line goes up? So now I'm going to come back down and make that top part, okay? And you can give him however many you want. I just did 4. I just used the shape of my brush there. You see that? Okay, now like I said, this might not be the right color, okay? It might be too dark or it might just not be right, okay? So now you can adjust that, okay? I'm actually gonna take a little bit of white and mix it in and do another layer here. Yeah, that's the ticket. Make it nice and bold, okay? There we go, that's better, okay? Now he's gonna look kind of funny until we put his beak in. So I'm gonna wash off that red, and I'm gonna go into my red, brown, and white. I want a very, 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 very light, pretty much white red brown, okay? Or I'm sorry, let's say that again. I want white with just a touch of red brown in it, okay? Just a touch. If you want to just use pure white, you can even do that. All right. I also have a point on my brush, and I got that by rolling my brush on my palette, okay? I want a nice point here. All right, so now you get to decide where his beak is going to be. Now, if I were to draw a line, like see this little curve right here where his feathers curve, if I were to continue that line down to the front, that's where my beak is going to end up, okay? So I'm gonna continue this line right here, okay? So very gently and small, barely touching the brush to the canvas. I'm drawing a triangle. Just like that. He's cute. Then I'm gonna go back, I'm just gonna get a touch of white here. And I'm going to put a dot of white kind of on this same line, okay, this curve. So I'm gonna back up from my beak just a little bit. And I'm gonna put a dot, a nice dot there. Now he looks a little crazy, okay? We'll let him be, okay? Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little bit of my red, brown, white mixture that I used for my feathers, okay? And I'm gonna bring this top feather line in. I'm gonna overlap it on top here, curving back out that heart shape. Okay? I'm gonna grab a little white, a couple little white feathers in there. Okay? Something like that, all right? Now, I'm gonna let my eyeball dry, okay, for just a moment here. I'm gonna paint in my legs. I'm gonna do that with any kind of a light shade of red-brown here, white and red-brown mixed together, all right? And I'm gonna do one leg that kind of comes back a little bit here, and I'm gonna do that just by drawing kind of a simple line, maybe 1.5 inches or so, okay? And I'm gonna kind of jump off and go out, jump forward a little bit, something like that, kind of just a suggestion of a leg. All right, I'm not thinking too much about it. And then this one I'm gonna do right here, I'm gonna kind of come out a little bit more in the front here. I'm gonna angle him forward like so. I'm gonna jump up, out, a little toe in the middle, and then a back. Okay, I'm gonna make him a little bit thicker. There we go. Okay. Kind of curve him around there. Make that look more like a toe. There we go. Okay, something like that, right? All right, the last thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna clean off my brush, get all the water off, especially on this very last part. I'm gonna get just a dot of black. Okay. Got a nice dot of black on my nice pointy brush. Kind of, it's kind of chunky. Wait a minute. There. I'm gonna go right in on my eye. Let me see if I can get you guys closer here. I'm not going in the center of my eye. I'm actually going on just the front part of my eye here. Okay. You see him? There we go. That's it. So now what you're gonna wanna do is you wanna take a step back and look, okay? Look and see if you have any areas of your body that you wanna fill out a little bit. So for example, like I have a blank spot right here, okay? So I can put in there whatever I want. I think I might just do like a simple little red flower just to kind of fill that space out a little bit, okay? So I got a little white, a little red. I'm gonna swirl in a little flower here, okay? Get some black at the center. Yep, there we go. Might even put in a leaf or two. Grab some green. A leaf. Yep, there we go. Okay. So see if you have any spaces that just don't quite sit right. Okay. You can also go in, and if you want to add a few more highlights in here to your flowers, you can do that. Okay. So I'll show you, this is today's painting, and this is the original. Okay, slightly different, you know, one's a little bigger, one's a slightly different shape. Okay, but you get the idea that it's a chicken, right? Okay, so don't be too hard on yourself about the shape of your chicken. Chickens come in all sizes, as you can see here between these two paintings. Very cool. So as always, I would love to see how your painting came out. So please take a picture and send it to me on Messenger whenever you get it done. And if you are having any issues with any part of the painting, just send me a picture of the area you're having an issue with, and I can talk you through kind of what I think you should do, or help you with color mixing or whatever it is that you need help with, okay? If you did borrow brushes from me, please go ahead and wash them out. Don't leave them in your water cup. Because what will happen is they will sit down in the bottom of that water cup and the bristles will actually bend, and it's hard to get them to go back right again. So go ahead, wash them out under warm water, and then just leave them on a paper towel to dry, and then drop them back by the shop, and you will get your $5 brush deposit back. And I so appreciate you returning brushes. I've been kind of running low recently, so that's why we had to do that $5 deposit so that I can get some of those back. But you probably have some leftover paint, and so you can try painting this again, maybe a different version of it. But you have this video now, so you can use it as much as you want. So thanks, you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in with me again to do another paint night. It was always just fun, just as much fun as it always is. I will be making some more videos pretty soon and trying to figure out some paintings for the future. So hang tight and stay tuned. Bye, guys.